Mr. Raymond Civic ZOC, where today we're going to be looking at Congress Part 2, How a Bill Becomes a Law. In a previous video, we looked at the structure of Congress, in which we have a bicameral legislature. Do you remember that word? Which means that we have a two-house lawmaking body. The big one is the House of Representatives with 435 members, in which each state has representation based on their population. And something I forgot to mention is that this is why America takes a census. This is the population count that we take every 10 years. And when the population of a state changes, the number of representatives in the House of Reps can go up or down depending on the population in that year. Now, in the last video, we saw how the Senate has 100 members, 2 per each state, and this is where all the states, even the small states, have equal representation. And we discussed the powers of Congress that are written in the Constitution. Those are known as enumerated powers, things like declaring war, raising taxes, supporting the military. And we also learned how Congress can stretch those powers with what is known as the Necessary and Proper Clause, aka the Elastic Clause. So if you haven't checked out that video, make sure you go to Mr. Raymond's Civic ZOC Academy and watch it. Now, this time, we will be looking at, again, Congress Part 2, How a Bill Becomes a Law, which goes with our benchmark of illustrating the lawmaking process. And today we'll be covering the national or federal level and the state level. So we're looking at how a law is made. And just a reminder, teachers, this PowerPoint with a variety of lessons and activities is available at Teachers Pay Teachers. Just search for Mr. Raymond Civic ZOC Academy. Let's get some basic vocabulary out of the way. And if you're taking notes, just hit pause and write these definitions down. Okay, a legislator is someone who passes a law. All right, we'll call someone, you are a legislator. Legislation is another name for the laws that they make. The legislature is the body, okay? Congress is a legislature. The whole body as one. A bill is the name of a proposed law. Bills don't actually become law until the executive, aka the president or the governor, signs them. Okay, so we're going to be talking a lot about bills today, and those are just laws before they're officially laws. And finally, Congress is the name of our national or federal legislature in the United States. Okay, so here we see a diagram of the lawmaking process. And it looks pretty complicated, which is just the way the framers wanted it. Remember, whether you were a federalist or an anti-federalist, again, something we covered in a previous video, you didn't want the national government having too much power. Yes, even the Federalists, who favored a strong central government, didn't want Congress making too many laws. So they put in a bunch of different steps to make sure that only laws that everyone agreed on were passed. You are going to have to know the various steps of passing a law for your state exam, so I recommend writing these down. And let's start with our first step, which is introducing a bill. Remember, a bill is just an idea for a law. It doesn't become a law until later in the process. So the introduction is just the people who have an idea for the law. Here we see 4 different groups of people who might introduce an idea for a law. We have a representative, and this is a member of Congress. Now, we're going to get to that in a second. Officially, it's only a representative of Congress introduce a law. But other people come up with ideas for laws. Next, we see a state legislature. So this would only be for the U.S. Congress, taking an idea from a state law. Next, we see the people. And this is a good time to point out that anyone can come up with an idea for a law. The question is, how do you get Congress to listen? And we will look closer at that in a second. And finally, we see executive, and this is the president. But if we're talking about at the state level, that would be the governor. Let's take a closer look at introducing a bill. Again, we said that anyone can